1:38 o'clock.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
Well, good evening, everybody. There's always the occasional technical mishap. We are live on Dare Talk Radio in Australia, Radio X Country, and of course, right here on the YouTube channel, the Sportcat Shows. Everybody join the chat. We've got a great show tonight. I got it mixed up a little bit in the description because I put the ladies first, so I have I don't know what the hell I'm going to say. I have Julie first. But first, let me welcome Jen. How about that? Hi, Jen.
So you said you put the ladies first. I love it.
Well, I was, and then I was trying to think, oh crap, I don't. Anyhow, so Julie is our first guest tonight, and she is what is called a bug or a backup girl, which I didn't know what the term meant, but she is. Well, she fools. That's not the right word. She directs race cars. That's a better way. But don't let her fool you. She can also fly a jet, and she can do drag race. She can do all kinds of things. Let's bring her out here. Julie, welcome. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Yeah. And by the way, we got a live chat if you see it over there, and you will have questions from the audience occasionally. So. So Julie, I got off with a crazy start here. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, and because I didn't know what a bug was. I had to Google it.
Okay, so a bug is a backup girl, and it's typically, you're directing the car back into their tracks. So when they go down the track, they're not out of the groove. So it's mainly funny cars. Every once in a while I get in there and back up a different car, but mainly funny cars.
I had no. You say you. Oh,
is that like the track? Is that what I mean? Sorry, I guess you're asking the same thing.
Yeah.
What was it?
When you're backing,
isn't that track like a lane or something?
Well, on the track, you want to keep them in the groove wherever they do their burnout, so that they stay in the groove and they go straight down the track.
Okay, all right. Makes more sense.
I know that Sportcat was there saying that he wasn't sure what bug meant. I wasn't sure what a funny car was. I had to go look it up. And I guess it's because it looks funny. So I was looking, I was like, oh, those things. Oh, those are awesome.
Yeah. They're just my favorite, because you could have one, it could say Mustang on it, but it's basically, it's not made out of metal or anything. So it's just kind of like a protege of the real thing.
Nice. So what's louder, a funny car or a fighter jet engine?
Oh, I'd have to say a jet engine for sure. But they also have those in some of the cars too.
Cool.
They'll have those at the drag races.
Nice.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
but we still wear the headsets too, because
ear protection.
Exactly.
What got you into this? How did you decide you were going to do this?
Well, I was in the Air Force at the time, and I was in California, and I had met someone very special. He's a photographer. His name is Leo Lopez, and I could see that he's watching too. So hi Leo, I love you. I was in the Air Force, and I had went to uh it was kind of like a reenactment of the World War II. And I got out of my Mustang, and he came over and said, "Hey, can I take some pictures of you by the planes and stuff?" And so I was like, "Yeah, sure," And then he introduced me to the drag cars. He said, "Do you want to be a bug for my friend?" And I was like, what's a bug, So kind of your question. And then he was like, you go and you back them up and make sure that they stay in their groove. And so that was in 2015, and ever since then I just fell in love with the sport. So when I wasn't working on jets, then I was at the racetrack, and that's what I was doing. So that's how I kind of got into it. And when I got out in 2021, I felt kind of lost. Going back into the civilian world, didn't know, exactly what it is that I needed to do. But then I decided to get back into the drag racing, and so it kind of like that's my place. That's where I need to be.
It's home.
So yes.
Do you think it's kind of like that for other people who get into it, where it's just kind of like, pardon the pun, they get a bug in their head and they just keep coming back to it?
I think so, but I think a lot of people will say it's in their DNA. So I grew up around racing. My dad raced, my uncle raced. They did the dirt tracks, sprint cars and stuff like that. But I grew up around that. And then when I got introduced to drag racing, I was like, there's nothing else better. So I never turned back.
You found your passion.
Yes. And because I love fast things. So it was, that's where I needed to be.
I had no idea.
I was going to ask, have you gotten behind the wheel of one and went down the track?
No, I haven't. There's, I've sat in there, and I've, when they test them in the pits, I've sat there and kind of messed around with it and put it in gear and that type of thing, but never gone down the track. I kind of like being on the side watching instead of experiencing it, but you never know, someday I might.
So it's like it's not necessarily on your bucket list yet.
I just like they asked me, well, what about, the F-16, for example? Have you ever flown in one? I do not fly them. I was a jet engine mechanic and a fuel systems mechanic. So I worked on them on the ground. And so they had always asked, if I wanted to get into a incentive ride one, and it wasn't my thing. I don't know if it's because I'm not that crazy about, being in something that fast, or can't really explain it, but I do like working on them.
So it's more of like the technical aspects of things, like how things work, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It kind of like roller coasters. I don't know. I always was kind of scared of roller coasters. So
I hear you.
I love watching them, and I love, the sound of, airplanes and fast cars, but I just haven't decided whether I want to experience it actually. So
I'm petrified of heights. And I remember when I was a kid, and I was a teenager, and we went to Disneyland, and I didn't know it was a roller coaster. I don't know why I didn't know it was a roller coaster, because it's the Matterhorn, I think is what it's called.
Oh, yes.
And I'm riding, I'm sitting on this, and I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. Oh no.
And you can't get out of it. See,
you can't. Yeah, no. So I'm screaming, and my brother is like, just enjoy it. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I can't remember which one it was there in Disneyland. It's kind of like a pendulum. I can't remember
I
the
know the one
name.
you're talking about. Yeah.
I haven't been on that one either.
I don't
but
think
I know
it
what
was
you're talking about.
Superman, but it was something similar. And everybody was laughing at me because my son, he insisted I ride with him, and I was at like the very top. Or if it was straight, it'd be on the very edge of it, right? So every time I would be screaming the whole time, and every time I'd come back around where everybody's standing at the bottom, they're laughing because that's all they could hear, you know?
Maybe they thought you were having a good time. They didn't recognize it was a terror scream versus a really excited scream.
Yeah. And then I told my son, never again, you know, because you might have to go buy me some new pants, you know, because so yeah, I think I'd rather stay on the ground and work on them and experience it on the ground.
I think I don't know. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I don't know if Glenn can attest to this. Anybody who works in like emergency or in healthcare, certain areas of healthcare and stuff, we're a little bit of adrenaline junkies. So I could do the fast driving.
Okay.
Can't do it in real life, so I may as well do it on a track. But that sounds like something I'd be interested in. I might check it out.
Right.
Put it on my bucket list.
I've had fast cars. And yeah, my driving record shows that. But that doesn't mean, you know, I've taken it on the track and that's where I needed to keep it. So, but it was not anything like the power that you see on the track.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah, it's like pin you back in your seat. Probably a lot different than just, you know, putting my Prius in power mode.
A Prius. Okay.
That's
right.
I have to, because I got a lead foot, so at least I'm safe driving a Prius.
Right. I don't think any cops will be looking for you.
No, well, I don't know. It's like fire truck red, so.
Oh.
I heard statistically red cars get pulled over a lot more than other colors cars. I don't know why.
Right. I've heard that too.
I didn't know you were a Prius girl.
Yeah, my husband's got a Prius Prime, so his is a plug-in.
Oh.
He converted me.
Something about those Canadians. I didn't know that, huh?
I guess. It was just a me and my husband thing.
I traded in the Jeep after my daughter wrecked it. Well, I didn't really trade it in. I had to buy something else. And I couldn't find anything I want. And I went to the Subaru dealer looking at a truck, obviously not a Subaru truck. And I was like ready to leave. And the guy's like, well, wait a minute, we just got something in. And then he brought out the orange Subaru Crosstrek Sport.
Ooh.
And I was like, where do I sign? Where do I sign?
So you like orange?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Sport I really like, but it was the first family car. I mean, I bought a van for Beth when we had.
Yes.
Kids. That was. I felt really bad about it, but then after I got pulled over doing 110, I didn't feel so bad about it. So.
Do you know, I've only ever been pulled over once, and it was because my driver's license expired the week before on my birthday. It's like, oh yeah, it's expired. Happy birthday. I've never been pulled over for speeding though. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
You're such a lawbreaker.
I know, I'm such a rebel.
In her Prius.
Exactly.
I just bought my Prius, so it was bad timing because you know how they give you that like temporary registration thing, and I hadn't gotten the new papers yet, and then my insurance, I had gotten a temporary one, but I got the new ones and I hadn't put it in my wallet, so I didn't have current insurance. I had the makeshift whatever registration paper or whatever, and my driver's license had expired. It's no wonder I didn't end up in jail.
You're just breaking all kinds of laws.
Yeah. Like the mom driving with the husband here and two kids in the back in car seats is like, where are you going? Picking up shoes from a garage sale?
Yeah, exactly. This is Prius.
Or like...
Oh my goodness.
What kind of... you obviously have a personal relationship with the driver, but how does that work? You got hand signals and stuff because you can't talk, obviously. Well, I mean, I guess if you had radios you could, but what is that relationship like? You're lining them up and are you talking to them, or
no, but there is typically his crew chief is standing behind him directing you. Because the tires in the back are obviously going to be bigger. So those are the ones that they're wanting to keep in the track where they did their burnout from. And so they're usually the one back there directing, and, you know, the driver's obviously looking at you. So you're directing them with your hands. So That's usually cool. The guy in the back will have their hand way up and they'll be directing.
How many hand signals are there?
There isn't no hand signals. We're just basically telling them you need to move left or right.
Oh, it's just kind of like a makeshift, like go there.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. Keeping them in their groove. So, yeah. So and communication is sometimes, you know, the crew chief will have a mic and he's talking to the driver as well, but we do not.
Okay.
So they're just looking at our hand and that's it.
So tuck your hands behind I'm bad. I talk with my hands, so that would be like, oh my God, this.
They'd have all kind of zigzags on the
I know, it'd be like, get her out of there.
Well, exactly. You gotta have some kind of relationship with them. So.
Do the beat.
Yeah, that would be a good thing, you know, because if it wasn't good, then there could be some sabotage there, huh?
And you mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to make sure I understood right. You work for a team. You don't work for the track.
No, not for the track. Usually the people that work for the track are the ones that are running the lights and prepping the track and pretty much like, you know, all the organization and the logistics of it will be people that work for the track. It's certain teams. It depends. I've been on different teams just depending where the races are.
Okay.
So, and this one that's tomorrow is Funny Car Chaos. So that I usually will follow wherever they go. Like their next race is in Ohio. So there's like different categories of cars, you know. So this one's for the Nitro Chaos cars and the funny cars.
Nice. So I'm assuming with each team there's a number of drivers and other people that work within that team. Is that how it works?
It's usually one driver, and it's not always the owner of the car that's driving it. So it's you know, one person, because they're used to it and they typically would have knowledge of the car too, so that they understand.
I can't,
you know, it's like being a pilot, so you kind of want to have an idea of, you know, what's going on with your car.
Gosh, I can't imagine the cost of insurance on a vehicle like that. Sorry, that just random crazy thought.
I would think that life insurance would be the best thing to have.
Yeah. Forget the car.
Yeah. Lots of money.
Yes, I'm sorry. Once a mom, always a mom.
There you go.
Oh, goodness. Well, is it competitive? Because when I looked up bugs, it had like a bunch of people. So are you like competitive? Do you compete with each other? Is there a union where you all hang out and talk shop? Or?
Well, that is a very good question, because when I got back into it, I just started back last year about this time, because I had, you know, I was moving around so much, and then I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do after I had gotten out of the Air Force. But I wouldn't say competitive, but these girls are catty. A lot of them are very catty. So I try staying out of that. There's a lot of drama. And I think the only thing that they would compete about is what they're wearing. So that's because it's kind of a show. There's some people will show up for the races just to see the bugs. And so we typically have to play the part and, um, maybe wear an outfit that matches the car or whatever the case may be. But I'd say that's where we would get competitive, if anything, is, who could have the fanciest boots. I don't know. So we
So how
try sticking together, and it's the racers are obviously very competitive, but also a community as well. So we stick up for each other and help each other out. There's been the past race season, there was several accidents, tipped over trailers, cars burning in the trailers, that type of thing, and just losing
my.
everything. So just for different reasons, going down the highway, there was one that the trailer got blew over and it totally destroyed the car. And so the racing community came together and, helped them out to get back on the track. So I would say that, there's a lot of competition, of course, because more money, obviously, but when it comes to the bugs, I would say no, it's just a lot of drama. So
Are there a lot of women that go into, like, obviously if they have bugs, then those are girls, right?
no, not always. There are
Okay.
some.
Is
There
it
are some
guys as well?
guys. There's a
Okay.
couple guys, but you don't see too many of them, because most spectators like the girls being out there. But you'll see guys from time to time, or like, one of the part of the crew, you'll see them backing them up, just whoever they're more comfortable with. And
Gotcha.
because each race car driver or car owner, they like a certain look. They want you to wear a certain outfit. Some are more modest than others, and so there's racers out there that prefer to have their, a part of their crew chief or someone to back them up. So it all depends if, they're there for the show or not. So
And they got sponsors too, like Coca-Cola and stuff like that too, as well. You have to wear like patches, like they do down baseball for no reason at all.
are you talking about the bugs?
Yeah.
Or
No,
uh,
for the bugs.
for the bugs, some of them do, like Mad Maxine.
Mhm.
I would say that, she is probably one of the ones that has, sponsors. They sponsor her, her outfits, the boots and accessories and stuff like that. Me, not so much, because I am not set with a certain team. And so I'm more on what they would call the Section 8, Section 8 of drag racing, because we just, I go and I buy my own outfits. And I did have someone that sponsored a couple pairs of my boots, which was really nice, but it doesn't always happen. Um, Difference is minor, $100, and Mad Maxine's is 400, so it's um and she's got a lot more followers for sure. So
Does everybody get a cool nickname?
yeah, I mean, okay, so Mad Maxine, for example, she backs up Mad Max, funny car, and that's where the name came from. You got Drag Strip Blondie. Um, and then you got Nitro Alley. Well, Nitro Alley isn't a bug, but she does a lot of things with cars and stuff like that. But for me, I had just kept my original name, but I have been called a couple different things. Um, Tinker Hell instead of Tinker Bell. I think that's been the most recent one. That's what I have as my nickname right now. So because I looked like Tinkerbell to someone, and then someone said, I think more like Tinker Hell instead of Tinkerbell, because I'm kind of rowdy. So,
Nice.
but yeah, they typically, some don't, some just have their, just their regular name. But yeah, there are some out there.
It's better than the names I give my kids. We've got the Monster and Mr. Stinky Bottom.
Oh. Okay. So that might affect them as adults, but
Yeah, they don't. It's only in the house.
Oh, okay.
And we speak it to them in Cantonese, so nobody else knows.
Oh, okay. Okay, well I mean, that could affect someone in their adulthood, but I'm sure you'll come up with better names.
Oh yeah.
On a weekend, is it? Do they race like? If you win the race, do you get to race again, or is it set before you go? So how many do they? I guess you and the driver do on an average weekend.
Oh, okay. So typically they just see how many drivers are going to be there, and then they pair them up, and then each time someone wins from that race, they kind of move on, and the other one, they don't race. So until you got the two fastest cars, and then, but it depends on what kind of race it is too. So
I'm curious, how fast do these cars go?
Well, you got it just depends on what you're talking about, but you got anywhere from 1500 to 2000 horsepower. It really depends on the car, because I think the most popular ones right now are obviously the nitro cars, and those are the ones that everybody loves to see at night, because we call them lighting the Roman candles.
The flames in the back.
The flames come up through the zoomies, yeah. And so it just really depends on the car.
That's
trying to think, but yeah,
that is. I was going to say. I was like, mine looks like a fly compared to like a Jaguar.
You've got like 2 horsepower.
I can still go. I go from point A to point B. I get there. But yeah, like I can't imagine it. Do they have to go through training to learn how to drive these?
You do have to get a license. Yeah, you
Really?
do have to you have to have a license. So you have to find somebody that's willing to pretty much give over their race car for you to get your license. So, but we've got, they start kids early. So we got like the junior dragsters, and for example, Eiley Stafford. I don't know if you know Eiley Stafford, but she started young. I think she was like 15 or 16. And now she's, working her way up. And I really love to see women in this, I would say, a career field, because I think they have better reaction times. And of course, I'm going to praise a woman because I love seeing them do things that men typically would be known for doing. So,
is there a trend where there's more women going into this kind of?
Yeah, most definitely. Yes. And so it's really cool to see, because you see some really young girls going into this, and the best thing to do is just to encourage them, and because it's tough. Like when I went into the Air Force, my career field, I was the only female in my shop for when I was in tech school. So it was definitely a man's world. And so, after tech school, me going into my first actual, going in and, and doing the same job all the men were doing, I had to prove myself. It was twice as hard as what a man has to do, you know. So seeing women going into racing, I'm going to be all for it, for sure.
Yeah.
When you were saying it was a man's world, did you ever go out like on an aircraft carrier or stuff like that, or were you always based on land?
Well, I worked mainly from the shop, because what we would do is, because my first AFSC was jet engines. And so um, if there was something wrong with the jet, or there was some time change items that needed to be changed, we would take them out of the aircraft and bring them into the shop and work on them. When I was in fuel systems, we would bring the whole aircraft into the shop and open up fuel cells from there. So it was essentially all from the ground, that, you know, anything that I did. The only time I had gotten into a big aircraft was my last 3 years in the Air Force. I worked on the engines for the KC-135s, and had flown in a couple big aircraft, because that's a air refuel there at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. So that was the only time that I was actually in really big aircraft.
What got you into that in the first place? Or was it just like you didn't really have a choice of which area you went into?
Oh no, I did. I grew up, my dad was a car mechanic. My brothers were car mechanics. And so I grew up around that and around racing, obviously. And so from a very young age, I was very interested in mechanical. And so I just remember I was very interested in aircraft. And so when I decided to go into the Air Force, I was banking on, you know, getting some kind of mechanical job with aircraft. So when I took my ASVAB test, I scored pretty darn high in mechanical. So it was an easy choice to go into the field that I went into.
Was it a huge jump from, obviously they're different types of vehicles, but going from working on like jet fighters to like working on funny cars and other vehicles like that, was it a huge jump or a huge leap?
It is. It's totally different breeds. It's like going from a you know, a funny car to a Prius. So there's going to be a huge difference there. Just in like the whole aspect of opening up the hood, it's going to be totally different. So the only thing that I could say is comparable is, you know, they'll put the helicopter jet engines in the drag cars. And so that's the closest thing to home, I guess you could say, is if I worked with one of those, that would be amazing.
It's gonna be fast.
Be nostalgic. Yeah.
Yes. You have to wear double ear protection for sure.
I would think so. Yeah.
And I still got hearing issues, so yeah.
You spent a whole career around it, so well,
right.
You know, on the weekends you're doing this. Are you doing anything else during the week, or how does that work?
No, not right now. I had moved here not too long ago. Kind of a long story, but you know, a divorce, and it kind of set me in a place where okay, I'm not in the military anymore, and you know, I kind of run off of my disabilities from the Air Force, and then am looking for work now. So I was looking into moving to Dallas area because they have a lot of aircraft companies and such, that I plan on getting back into it. So not into the military, but as a civilian. working on the
contract,
aircraft.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then on weekends, you can still do this.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
You wouldn't have a whole lot of free time.
No, not really, but it's better to be busy than to be sitting twiddling your thumbs.
Yes.
Mhm.
I just have this saying, I kind of adopted it from my grandfather, and I'm sure other people have similar sayings. Is like, the whole, if there's no rest for the wicked, I must be evil.
Right? Yeah. You get yourself in trouble. You see, if, like kids, if you don't keep them off the streets and, keep them busy with things that could, is better for you in life, that's when they get into drugs and things like that. So, I mean, I'm not saying I would do that, but, I could probably get myself in a lot more trouble now because I'm not working, but I definitely like to keep busy.
Yeah, the part of retirement that sucks the most. I'm a medically disabled firefighter. They put me out in the field. Is you have to find something to do, otherwise you're going to lose your mind. And
Yes.
I always thought when I got done, I'm like, I'm putting my feet up on the couch. I'm like,
No,
But-
that's not how it works.
TV all day long. No.
nope, that's not how it works. You lose your
It
mind.
works
You
for
do that
about
for a
2
couple
weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Then you get
exactly.
bored out of your mind.
Bored out of your mind and, just going insane, basically. And that's why, I, even in the wintertime, I'm going nuts because there's no racing. And so, the only way is to watch them on TV or just, talk with people that, work on them every day. Usually on the East Coast is, they race year round because of the weather. But, where I live, it's from March to October, I think. So, just depending where you live. And you being from Tennessee, you're in Tennessee, Knoxville. So
Yes.
I used to live in Jackson.
Okay.
And so that's where I lived before I moved back to Oklahoma. But same thing there because you got the rain, so much rain.
Yes.
So
We have a track in Union County, Tennessee, which is like right over my shoulder.
Mhm.
It's a drag track.
Yep.
I used to, when I was a paramedic, I would go stand by there, and I would always try and stay far away because, gosh, you're so you can't hear your radio.
yeah, so loud, huh? Yeah.
And now they got this weird thing that they're doing with, I guess it's to get public safety and kids involved, where they're bringing in, like on weeknights, street cars and are having them drag race a real police car. And I guess they're trying to bring the kids in and keep them off the streets and stuff. I don't know how I feel about that.
There's a lot of cars that they've done that in Tulsa too. They have I can't remember what they called it, but it's they'd have real police officers out there racing against kids in their Honda Civics and whatever else. But I think it's to keep them off the streets and maybe to do the drag racing on the track instead of in the streets.
Give them an outlet, perhaps.
And definitely an outlet. But I think a lot of the issues are now is because you hear of all the street drag racing and stuff like that.
Yes.
People are getting their cars taken away from them, impounded, because they're obviously dragging on the streets, and so car accidents and, cars, just doing their thing on the streets coming at you and, so it could cause a lot of issues and obviously getting
The big thing with kids now, they do these street takeovers and
Yes.
bring in lots of crowds and cause mayhem and get people hurt. As a paramedic, I can tell you, get people hurt.
Right.
I've heard
I've
nothing.
seen that. when
Yeah.
they're doing their burnouts and whatever else, and they end up running into the person
Into
that's
the
flagging
crowd.
them in the center.
Yeah.
Or the girl who thinks it's cool to be flashing the crowd in the side seat and gets thrown out. And
Yeah.
run that call. But I think I guess it's good to get them in that way. But I've seen a lot of good positive things because they're out there. They get to meet the police officers. Of course, if you've been to this area, it's a smaller area, so there's not a lot of street takeovers in Knoxville. I think there was one in the sheriff's department. I was like, no, we're not doing that, and they pretty much stopped it. But they get to meet the community and they get to learn something. Now I don't know. Do you have any programs where you all work with the community or the children or anything in the drag racing community?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I honestly can't say when it comes to kids, but I think that if they don't have things like that, they should have them more often for sure. Because I think that it would keep a lot of them off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think, if it's just a matter of like they're on the streets causing trouble because they want that adrenaline rush, it would give them a place to have that adrenaline rush that's in a controlled setting.
Right.
Well, as controlled as you can be.
As controlled, yes. And you do have usually there's EMT or someone at the end of the track there or at the front of the track, so there's a lot more safety.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, is the adrenaline rush for you when they take off or when they cross the finish line?
I'm usually at the front of the track, so I would say definitely the takeoff. That's where you get your big bang, especially with the nitro cars, because it'll scare you to death even if you've got your headset on and you don't hear them. As soon as they get that green light, it rattles everything and it's super loud. It's like a jet going down the track. So it's definitely at the front of the track. That's where the action is.
So that saying where like anything that can go wrong will go wrong? Are you ever thinking this like before they get going? Are you thinking about like, okay, what could potentially go wrong?
No.
Okay.
No, that's a definite bad mindset to be in.
Bad mojo. Yeah.
So it's better to think, okay, let's just make sure that they get down the track. Just like working on aircraft, let's just make sure that they get up in the air safely and get down safely. Yep. So that's the mindset you have to have.
And recently brought home safely. So
right.
I still love that story of the dude. So the dude, for anybody that doesn't understand, the dude was the weapons officer in the craft that went down, and the Air Force and the Army and the Marines, and everybody had to go in and get him to rescue the dude. And he was a little beat up, but he was proudly waving his red, white, and blue boxers for the rescue team, and they left them for the Iranians. Just perfect. So
I bet he felt pretty important though. Everybody came out to try to get him.
Well, I mean, I think I read somewhere they put a number on it, and they spent like $100 million or something. I mean, I don't know. It was some ungodly number, but can you put a dollar on a price? A person.
Nope.
So. An officer too. So I mean,
he was full bird. So yeah. Mm-hmm. It surprised me that there was a full bird colonel flying in that position, to be honest with you.
You're going to see him. And I think seeing how there was, it was a 2-seater, I would think that maybe he was training somebody, or it was, I wouldn't say an incentive flight, because obviously that's in a location that, you're at war.
It's not where you want to get your hours.
But I think that over there, I mean, you're gonna put the best of the best, and when you're a pilot and you're in a fighter jet, that's that's your love right there. And so, just like you got all these fool birds out there that are on the ground, and they're wanting to be a part of the action too. And so I think it just really depends on the career field you're in. So.
Oh, I get that. I couldn't stand. I wouldn't want an office job. So yeah, I get that. So
Right.
it's boring. It's boring.
That's boring.
yeah, and so and he's got the rank. He can pull it. He's like, that's my ride. I'm the dude.
Right.
So
I'll fly you. Yeah.
yeah. So kudos to him. I mean, for everything he did. Not just the fact that he's made it to a fighter pilot, but that he, ejection, there was a chance of injury. When he landed, he apparently landed, they had to eject low and he had a concussion. And there was the possibility there of bad injuries. I think he ended up with a concussion and like a broken ankle. And
most will.
That
is not a soft landing. And lots of times they pass out when they hit the ejection because the force. So when they land, sometimes they might not even be conscious.
Wow. I can't imagine.
Thought about that.
That's crazy. You may not know the answer to this, but I thought about this. Do they have like a boot camp or some type of training simulator where they actually put them in an ejection seat and training and launch them? You can't ditch a jet. So
if they went with their technical school that they go to, they're trained on all of that. Even the G's, they have they put them in like a simulator where it spins them around so fast. I couldn't do it. Obviously, I can't handle roller coasters, so I couldn't imagine being spinning.
Reminds me of the Gravitron at the fair.
Right, puking on everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't puke on anybody in there, but I was, dirtying the dirt behind one of those food stands.
Exactly. So it takes a special breed to be a fighter pilot for sure.
My goodness.
Yeah. One of the jobs I had, I was a flight medic, and we were on Lears, which they're basically a small, fast jet. I don't know what other way to put it, but the pilots, they would sometimes work other jobs where they'd do commuter hops or something, and they'd fly a big plane, and they would always come back and go, God, they're so slow.
Yes. Yeah, I had a friend that was, he went to school to be a fighter pilot for the F-16s that we had at the time. And he went to school, and then I ended up going to school on the same base as him. And I ran into him and I was like, hey, how's it going? And he was like, he had this bummed out look, and he goes, I didn't pass the school for the fighter jets. They put me in a C-130, and I'm like, oh, that's like that's like going from a sports car to, I'm not even going to say it.
A very important job, though. We need that.
Yeah.
It's not about the car, it's how you drive it, Mr.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, it was for him, it was like, he was just so bummed out about it because he, went through all, because you have to be an officer, obviously. Yeah. And so he had already been going to college and, he was in the Air Force full time. So, for him to go through all of that and then go to the school, and they say, yeah, you're just not going to cut it as a fighter pilot. So it was very difficult.
They call it the tops. I mean, you're the tops. I mean, that's and that we need that. So, well, Julie, in our emails, and we talked about this beforehand, we always have one question we like to ask before we let you go. Have you ever had any type of experience with a ghost, a Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster? Oh, okay.
I have.
What you got?
Yes. Alameda California, the USS Hornet. Have you ever seen it? I think it's Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
They've done okay. It's on that on the USS Hornet. Well, I had went there with and it was like a cosplay GI Joe group, and I didn't know nothing because I had never been there before. I didn't think anything about it being haunted or that being the reason why people would go, because it's pretty much a museum on the water now. But I didn't think anything of it. So we were going in and I asked the cashier, I said, where's the restrooms at? And so she told me where they were, and we went down like some stairs, and so we come to this women's restroom, and so I went to go open the door, and there, it wasn't locked. So I was like, I kind of peeked in, and I seen just like hands and someone washing. The water was on. Someone was washing. They had like a watch on. And I was like, oh, sorry, And so I stood there with Leo Lopez and another friend of mine. And we stood there for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
I said, there's no other
That's a long
exit
time to
out of
wash your
this.
hands.
And
Yeah.
I was thinking, man, I mean, is she putting her makeup on or what's the deal, And I was like, there's no other exit. They have to come out this door, and we're like standing close to the door. And so I peered back in, and there was nobody. So that was my experience on the USS Hornet.
Wow. And it didn't look like, pardon the pun, but ghost hands. It looked like regular human hands.
Regular human hands. I don't know, like, I wouldn't say male or female. And they were wearing a watch. So I don't know, would they be wearing something like that, back when it was in commission? Would they wear watches? I don't know.
Watches have been around for a long time, though.
Yeah, so it maybe because because it was a landing, where they land aircraft, so maybe some of them would have to wear some kind of watch to kind of keep track. But I don't know, it was just the strangest thing. I had never like experienced something like that before, but that
would creep you out.
No, I mean, I was just like, I was looking at my friends like, I'm serious. This is what I seen, and they're just like, it's been like 10 minutes. I know you have to go to the restroom, so I checked again, and nobody's in there. So it was kind of just like,
oh, don't have to go now.
And so finally I went, and I was like, God, I know that's what I seen, And then when we were walking around, someone that worked there asked, so what do you think? And I was like, well, I think I just experienced a ghost in the women's bathroom. But if you do look it up, it does talk about people having experiences in the women's bathroom. They could hear a man talking in there, and they open the door and there's nobody in there. But I didn't even know that it was haunted at all, because I was just going there with a group of people that just to do something fun, and so I wasn't expecting anything like that. But yeah,
quite a shock.
Yeah. 100%. So I thought that was the coolest thing. I mean, it didn't scare me or anything. It was just like, you had to kind of wrap your brain around it for a moment,
Yeah.
Was I, not on any kind of drug or anything, so I don't know. So I thought that was cool.
That is a neat story, and that's the first I've heard of one like that. So,
okay,
yeah, I like it. Yeah. So now, tell me, I know you got to get if anybody wants to get in touch with you or has a question for you, do you have a way for them to do that?
Yeah, I'm in Facebook. That's where you contacted me. Julie Bailey. That's typically how everybody gets in contact with me, is there. That's my social. I do have TikTok, but it's all under Julie Bailey. So
All right. Well, it'll be in the show notes as well. Yeah, I remember when I messaged you, I thought she's going to think I'm just some pervert.
There's so many different.
Ask a couple questions, and then I was like, okay. And then when I seen, on YouTube that you actually had some shows on here, I was like, okay, it's legit.
Yeah. I'm kind of invested in it. So.
I felt the same way. No, stop.
But now I was nervous because I'd never done anything like this before. So I was like,
sweetie, you did great. No, you just, it's just like a conversation. And sometimes Jen and I'll be like, no, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, you can see, like, we're so excited to ask her questions. We like got talk over each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we get everybody from authors, actors, athletes. I mean, we get everybody, and that's what I enjoy. Because this isn't the type of question ESPN's going to ask an athlete. Have you seen a ghost?
Right.
They
love it.
Know,
that's
they
cool.
want to know about all your backstory and all that, but you're not going to ask that. So
you already got some of that. So I mean,
yeah.
Now it kind of breaks the ice, and I like that.
I'm kind of like the National Enquirer of.
There you go.
I'm not Larry Flint or anything.
Well, you made it very easy. So I didn't feel pressured.
We didn't do anything. You did all the hard work. You did the lifting. So,
wow.
And I am glad you come on because when I messaged you, the first thought I had was like a pinup thing, that it was just I don't want to use the word for show thing, but it was more like for a glamour thing than an actual job. But after I looked it up and got to talking to you some more, I'm like, that's a hard-working job there. That's not just to show my butt,
Right.
Well, I mean,
definitely not pinup.
Yeah.
Now, if it was, like Rosie the Riveter type of thing, I would say, it was probably something similar to that. Back in the day, the jobs that women had. So.
Yeah. And I think you're doing a great job portraying it for people. So. All right.
And I try keeping it alive. So.
Oh, that's all right. I know you got to get on the road, so I don't want to keep you any more than we have to. Please come back and see us sometime.
I would love to.
When you're off season, just message me. Yeah. When you're off season, message me.
Yeah. Keep in touch.
Give you something to do over downtime.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Julie, have a great night. Thank you for coming on, and we will see you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
That hour flew.
Yeah. Well, we always say this, they do. But, she makes it sound, like I said, more of a relatable thing. Whereas if you read about it on Wikipedia, you don't get that.
It's different to experience it than it is to read about it. I mean, there's some careers and jobs out there that sound really, really cool until you're doing them.
Yeah, exactly. But I think she's doing great. And I hope that through listening to this, oh man, I forgot to ask her if she knew if they do drag racing in Australia. I hope she brings more females to the sport. So, because I love sports, and anytime you can encourage people to get out and do something. So I think it's the best. So
I don't think that it should be limited by gender.
No, not at all. Okay, well, let me push a button here real quick, and then we'll bring out our second guest.
Broadcasting across Australia on Dare Media Group radio stations, this is the Sportcat Show, uncovering secret chapters, strange encounters,
and the occasional technical mishap.
There you go. Welcome back to hour 2 of the Sportcat Show, formerly the Paranormal guys. We just had a great interview with Julie, a bug. So if you missed that, go back and listen to it. She's great. And as always, we have 2 guests. And our second guest, well, he's got an interesting story as well. His name is Hunter. And, he came from the corporate world into writing stories, and he was recruited. Well, maybe I'll let him tell it. So he probably tells it better than me. Hunter, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're glad you're here. So I was telling everybody, you came through this from a different angle than a lot of writers do.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, well, that's so. I don't want to tell your story. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so my main series, of which there's 11 books out right now, is called the Preternatural Chronicles, and here's book 1. It's called "I'm Glad You're Dead," available on Amazon and Audible, but it's actually starring and dedicated to my best friend John Cook, who passed away in 2014 in a bad car accident. Yeah, so we grew up together. He was my best friend to the point where we basically became brothers. And he'd always liked my little short stories that I wrote about different things. And one day he was like, "Hey man, you should write a book about me." I'm like, "Okay, sure, man." Like, "What do you want to be?" He's like, "I want to be a vampire, but not one of those sparkly ones. You know what I mean? I want to be a badass." So I was like, "All right." He's like, "No, man, I'm serious. You need to do it." I'm like, "Okay, man, cool, promise." And then, in 2014, I got that phone call, the worst phone call of my life. And then it was a couple years after that, I was sitting in my nutrition store that I had at the time. It was one Saturday, and I just remembered that. And I popped open my laptop and just started writing. And it took me a year to write book 1. And I never thought anyone else would ever read it, except for my group of close friends who are also in the books. Everyone who knew John, they wanted to play their part in my little urban fantasy eulogy. So John's a vampire. Dustin Valenta is the bartender that controls the supernatural people. You have Depweg, the werewolf, and Nathaniel Locke, who is based off of Nathaniel Kirby. He just wanted to be a bad guy. That's all he told me. He's like, "I don't care. Just make me a bad guy. I want to give John a hard time." So there's a bunch of friends that are in there that knew the real John Cook. So that actually makes it a lot of fun in that aspect, and helps give the characters life, because they're loosely based off real people. I say loosely because some of my friends are really funny and insane, so they'd be unbelievable if I put them on paper. But yeah, to date, hundreds of thousands of people across the world have listened to or read about John Cook and are keeping his memory alive. So feels pretty good.
So you memorialized your bestie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a better way. That's great. Now I ask, and Jen knows probably I'm gonna ask this, but when you start writing a story, do you have a start point, an end point, and what's going to happen in the middle? And as you're going, do the characters go, "Yeah, that's not what we're doing"?
So yeah, I'm what's known as a pantser. Mm-hmm. So there's planners and pantsers, and I'm a pantser.
Pantsers United.
Yeah. So I know the beginning, middle, and end of each story, and then I just watch what the characters do, but I keep nudging them towards the end goal, because I knew what the end of the series of the 13 books was going to be when I started writing it. So I put in a lot of little Easter eggs and whatnot, leaning towards that. But I tried planning book 1, scene sequel, scene sequel, scene sequel. I had it all planned out. And then John, as was the real John, went off and did his own thing and just screwed up all my plans. So now I just roll with it, and I get to see what they do whenever I write.
Yeah, you're
a lot of fun.
Along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you find that writing a character who's based on somebody who's important to your life, do you feel protective of that character?
No, not really. Not in the sense I think that what you're getting at. It's more I want people to laugh, so I don't mind if someone says "Man, what an idiot! I would have done that." He gets angry, and he's human. That's what a lot of my readers say. A lot of reviewers is my characters feel human because they make real human mistakes, and you feel what they're going through and stuff. So no, I'm not really protective of them. It's just I put them out exactly how I want, and people seem to like it. So like I said, nice. Book 1 has about 4,000 reviews on Amazon at currently 4.3 stars. So people seem to like it.
Yeah.
When you were writing, you said there's Easter eggs and stuff. Did you find that you planted those, or did they just sort of develop naturally, or kind of both?
I'd say both. Yeah, both. It's more once people read. So I book 11 came out on Halloween of last year, and I'm working on book 12 right now. It'll be out this year, but I have 13 books planned. After the people have read the 13th book, if they go back and reread it, they're going to be like, son of a bitch. He basically told me right there, or that's a big hint. I can't believe I didn't see it. And no one, not a single person has guessed what the ending is going to be, except for one person. I was doing a live like this, and the person just randomly put in a comment that was scrolling up like, wouldn't it be funny? And it just kept going. And I was like, I never mentioned it. Yeah. I've done so many of these that you're not going to even be able to find which one it is. So if someone goes back and tries to find them, and so far one person came pretty close, but no one's guessed at all what the ending is going to be. But even though I've kind of told you already, so it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
I love how you talked about like adding humor. Especially when it's really dark, you want that humor to break it up.
Yeah, so just like John in the books, me and the real John were very much alike. We're doppelgangers, honestly. So I deal with hard issues with dark humor. You know, one of the darkest humor jokes I like to make is John actually, it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and hit a tow truck driver that was carrying a car behind him, and just like somewhere out in West Texas. And I guess, he didn't see it, but they were both going really fast. So the joke I like to make, because it's dark, but it helps the healing, is I say that, well, John is the chicken champion of the world right now. So that's just an example of the dark humor I have. And same thing with the books too. Like the main character has a lot of humor like that, which is actually a coping mechanism that I myself like to use. It definitely, it's cathartic.
Yes. I get that. Yeah, a paramedic firefighter. Trust me, we have.
Lots of, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, you're way past me.
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard all the.
Yeah, so it's hard to believe what people will actually do to another human being sometimes,
or to themselves. Yeah. So you said you're. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say, so your vampires don't sparkle. So what is it that makes them different? Are they just like more humanistic, or?
Oh, so that's a great question. When I started this, I knew immediately that I wanted my vampires to be different. Everyone's done the hiss, bite, all that stuff for since the beginning of, Dracula and whatnot. So I thought a lot of my books are, you can explain almost scientifically, which is a lot of fun for me because I'm a nerd in that aspect. So I was thinking, why do vampires need blood? And if they can't eat, so they need the energy to survive, then the energy builds up and they get stronger over time, the more blood that they drink. Well, can they do anything else with that? Why can't they control that blood? So I made my vampires be able to, like, he'll like will a slit in his wrist or his palm to open, and like blood will come out, and he'll make a blood dagger or a sword or a hammer or a shield. Anything like that. It's kind of like T-1000 from Terminator 2, right? He can make those kinds of things. So instead of biting someone on the neck, instead he'll use his blood dagger and he'll stab the bad guy in the liver, which is where most of your blood is stored at any given time, and he'll siphon it that way. And so
like through his dagger, so he doesn't have to bite them?
Exactly.
Oh,
So
cool.
I wanted it to be a completely different mechanism for that, and it makes it more fun that way. Then I also have rules for like the werewolves, and I expel a lot of the bad stuff with the vampires. So in urban fantasy, the rule of thumb is for every power you have, you need to have 2 downfalls to make it more realistic and
you can't have them
relatable
too
for the
powerful,
reader.
right?
Yeah, exactly. But I did remove a lot of stuff that didn't make sense to me, like not being able to see your own reflection. I actually mentioned in, I think, book 1 that the reason why that could have been the case is a long time ago, mirrors were made with silver, but nowadays they're made with aluminum because they're cheap. So it doesn't make sense that he doesn't have a reflection. Crosses he's fine with. Churches he can go into. Actually, he in book 0.5, which is you can go to my website, hunterblain.com, Hunter BLAIN.com, and sign up for my newsletter. And you can download book 0.5 for free. It's just a little 12,000 word novella, like really, really thin, but it leads right into book 1. But in that novella, it tells a story of how a 600-year-old vampire works with a Catholic priest. So they actually work together. So of course he goes into the church and he doesn't burst into flames. And so I like to keep it grounded in reality with that. Garlic doesn't affect them, things like that. So it's more realistic in that aspect rather than just mythological. But yeah, that's what the story really starts. Is what would it take for a 600-year-old vampire who realizes one day that the earth is going to end and that he knows that there's a heaven and a hell because he's killed demons and stuff. How does he bleach his blackened soul? So he decides to work with a Catholic priest, Father Thomas, and Father Thomas says, you know what, we won't tell anyone because I don't know if the church would approve, but I like the idea of using your powers, your abilities to help rid the world of the bad guys. So my hero is very much an anti-hero. So he does the good, but he's also not afraid to, hurt the bad guys really bad whenever he's doing the good thing.
I like
and
it.
You compared him to Deadpool. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, reviewers, I didn't even think about it. So of like the 4,000 reviews, I think 3,999 of them say like Deadpool is a vampire in some fashion. Someone said like Deadpool and the Punisher had a baby. So it's whenever I started seeing those reviews coming in and they were consistently Deadpool as a vampire, I was like, holy crap, I didn't even like realize that. I didn't aim towards that. It was just mine and John's humor, but that actually works out perfect. So like Ryan Reynolds could totally play John.
That would be great. So I like the way, and Jen I was going to ask pretty much the same question, but now that we've asked that, I want to say, what give you the idea of coming up with like the blood as a dagger or some other tool? Was that just something that came up, or how did you get to that?
So I sat down and I said, if I was going to write this book starring my best friend, I wanted it to be different because I don't write for anyone else but me. I write what I like. So if I was going to like this book, I wanted it to be different. I didn't want it to be another vampire book. Everyone has a vampire book and they all follow the same rules. And, I'm sorry the story's been told. Me and John loved the Anne Rice books. Like we read, I think he read all of them. I stopped around Midnock the Devil because then it started getting like off the trails a little bit. But the Anne Rice books were amazing. You know what I mean? But she did a really good job of telling her version of it that was still, it was mostly based in reality. Like it felt real, but I took it to the next level of, I explain scientifically why they need blood. I give them restrictions. I take away the dumb restrictions that I always thought didn't make sense. Like in Anne Rice's vampires, they can't have sex. And I'm like, why? That's blood. Like that's blood. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense why that wouldn't work. So I get rid of that too. He's got a mistress, a fae mistress. That's his love interest in the books. And she's a handful, as you could probably imagine. A lot of fun. But I just knew I wanted my books to be different. And honestly, it's so funny that we're talking about this. I just watched Terminator 2 last night with my wife because I don't think she remembers anything about him because she kept asking me questions like, are you serious? You don't know the answer to that? So we watched Terminator 1 and the Terminator 2, and T-1000 is still like just one of the coolest bad guys ever. So I like the idea of John being able to use his blood in the same way. And he gets more and more creative as the series goes on with like making blood wings or armor and things like that. So it's a lot of fun doing it.
Can he make like regular stuff? Like, oh, I don't have a mug that's clean. Can I make a coffee mug?
Yeah, he can do anything he wants with it. And cool. So remember we were talking about earlier, with every benefit, there's got to be at least one or two cons. So for him, if he makes like a giant sword and he attacks someone and they're stronger than him and they break his sword, he actually loses all that energy he poured into it. And it's like getting electrocuted with a taser. So that drops him and stuff. So he has to be careful not to add too little energy where it doesn't do anything, or it could break on its own because it's too weak. Or if he puts too much and he loses it, then he loses a lot of his own energy. So like that's what I'm talking about with it. For every one pro, there's got to be at least 1 or 2 cons to make it more realistic and entertaining for the reader.
Yeah, because you can't, like I said, you can't have it too perfect, or otherwise it would just be what's to stop them. Yeah.
And the whole idea of working with the priest is great.
That's another thing too, is I don't recall any other books where like the bad guy worked with, or like a vampire worked with the priest. It just, you know, and the motivation, like John realizes, because whenever he's made, his soul flies up towards heaven, but then he's stopped by like a guardian angel in like the middle of space, in between heaven and earth, and like the angel's like, you know, heaven's not for you, abomination. And then his soul like becomes corrupted and he flies back into his body, kind of thing. So he knows 100% that there is a heaven and a hell, and he also knows that the world is going to end one day, either a solar flare, which is extremely likely. You know, people are going to blow up each other over imaginary lines on a map, or whose god is the best, and blah blah blah. So he knows like something's going to happen eventually, and he would rather spend eternity with his family, which is the whole reason he became a vampire, is because his family was murdered in front of him. So he has a motivation to do good, and he's a good person anyway. It's just his teacher was not a good person at all, Ulrich, and taught him, you know, to be brutal, methodical, merciless. And so he's got a lot of years, a lot of centuries of sin to make up for. So that's why he agrees to work with his Catholic priest and wants to work with a Catholic. He really wants to do the good to make his soul pure so he can go to heaven when and if he dies. And then it so happens that that John is actually the center of the apocalypse. So now he has even more motivation. But he finds out that when the last vampire walks the earth, the gates of hell will open. And heaven and hell are now like both looking at him like, wait a sec, we got to do something about this. And he's also like, wait, how many are left? Like, I thought it was just me, or like maybe one other. So there's not a lot of vampires in my books, that's for sure. So the apocalypse is looming, and he's at the center of it.
Can he convert people to being a vampire?
He's not the last one.
So that is actually brought up in the books at one point, and it comes down to Father Thomas Filseek tells him, you know, you can do that, but then you're responsible for all the souls that your fledgling takes. For everyone that dies, it's going to be directly your responsibility for that. So are you willing to do that? And John's like, well, no, we've spent, you know, we've been together since 1990, trying to clear 600 years of sin, and I feel like we're doing a really good job. I don't want to go backwards. He's like, well, then there you go. So, you know, once again, like, there's always pros and cons, right? So I made sure that everything is nice and neat and things like that, because that question makes perfect sense. Well, why doesn't he? Because he doesn't want to damn his soul anymore, because you got to feed on human souls as a or human blood as a vampire.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the fact that he's with a priest too, that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, I really like that. It's like, oh God. I'm probably the only one that remembers that movie with George Burns. Yeah, you'll Google it. Don't worry, just Google it later.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking is End of Days, because he was Satan in that one, wasn't he? That was Gabriel. Gabriel Burns was his name, I think.
Okay.
He played.
I don't think so, but I don't. I think he did like 5 or 6 Oh Gods back during the 80s. So you said the 90s. So did you start 600 years ago, or did you pick him up somewhere along the way?
So book 1 leapfrogs between 1480 Ireland and modern day, like 2019. But then in Deliverance, which is 0.5, it starts in 1990 when John actually meets Father Thomas. So that's where that starts. But yeah, book 1, it bounces back and forth. It tells the story of John and his family and the Spanish Inquisition coming to actually take the land and murder his parents in really brutal ways. And, you know, then as it's John's turns next, and that's when Ulrich shows up, and he's like, I can give you the power to avenge them, but you got to do what I say. And John, you know, is blinded by rage, and he just says, do it. So
It's like, oh, I should have thought this through.
600 years later.
Yeah. Ugh. Be careful what you do. Think twice before you act. You jump a lot. Like I've noticed, like you've got a few different genres that you kind of hop through and stuff. Is there any connection between all of them that you feel?
So I'd say so. I have the Preternatural Chronicles, which is self-published. That's through me alone. And then I have the Kronos Paradox, which is a trilogy, a complete trilogy through Podium. And it's actually the same narrator too. Luke Daniels, the Hall of Fame narrator with Audible, does both of those series. So I was very lucky to get him for both of those. And in the Kronos Paradox, that's a time travel thriller. Like a man's family is killed, and he will stop at nothing to save them, no matter what or when. So it starts off with him at their funeral talking about how like he didn't know that coffins came in kid sizes, baby sizes, really. So yeah, it starts out pretty brutal. Like a lot of my fans have reached out and said, "Dude, you made me cry like a lot. Why'd you do that?" Because like I don't even have kids, but people have reached out and told me like they felt the main character's Andrew Frost is his name, which is actually Andrew Frost was one of John Cook's really really good friends. Whenever John had moved to Abilene for a little bit, and they were best friends out there, and then John moved back, and then we reconnected, and he like introduced me to Andrew. So I actually called Andrew. I was like, "Hey man, you want to be in one of my books?" He's like, "Yeah man." So it's funny, yeah, that main character is also based off a real person. But yeah, so I mentioned like the Preternatural Chronicles in that book because in the Kronos Paradox, he's got something called a clepsydra, which is this metal device he wears on his sleeve that helps him go through time. And he's got this snarky little Cairn Terrier AI. So Cairn Terrier, like the little puppies, they're adorable, but it's he's got like a British accent and gives the main character like a hard time and all that stuff. But they mentioned the Preternatural Chronicles, and his name is Tim. And then in the Preternatural Chronicles, John has a dog named Tim. So like there's a whole lot of crossover that my fans are like, "Oh my God, I love that." And then I also have 2 books out of a trilogy from Athon Publishing. Athon's the same company that does like He Who Fights with Monsters, Dungeon Crawler Carl, a lot of really big names like that. And that's called the Soul Saga. It's a gritty, realistic superhero book that all sparked from a YouTube video I saw a long time ago from a guy named Kyle Hill, I think his name is. Looks like a skinny version of Thor, but his video was like, "Why you don't want superpowers?" And then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh crap, he's right. Like, you don't want super strength. Like, you can't flush a toilet, you can't shake someone's hand, you can't open a door without breaking the knob off. You can't touch silverware or drink a glass." It's like, that sounds awful. Or if you fly too fast, then you can't breathe, or your skin gets torn off from the inertia. If you run too fast, then if like a single raindroplet's here, it could like blind you. Like, there's all these negatives for being a superhero, basically. And I was like, why has no one talked about how awful this would be? So I give my superhero all these negatives that makes him more grounded and realistic, and it's kind of miserable at times, but he still has a heart of gold and is trying to do what he can to save the world from itself, that kind of thing. So yeah, those are my 3 series I have right now. Oh, and I'm also working on a lit RPG with my good buddy Justin S. Leslie. So that should be out this year as well. So I got a lot of books.
Do you ever sleep?
Yeah. I get my 10 hours a night.
Nice. It's like twice as much as I get a night.
You got kids.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
I got puppies.
See, when I ask my kids the same question. It's like, would they ever want me to create them as a character in my stories? And my older one says, heck no. My younger one says, yeah, make me a bad guy. And I'm like, oh, there's something wrong with him. I guess it tells you a lot about a person what kind of character they want to be in a book.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a self-reflection, psychological review. I mean, if you're writing it yourself. So, what was your favorite time period when you were jumping back and forth? Was it modern time, or did you get into digging the history on some of this stuff?
Oh yeah, I dug into history. I like the modern stuff more though. That's why I like urban fantasy. So I always explain to people the difference between fantasy and urban fantasy is urban fantasy is like realistic and modern. So I tell people it's like Harry Potter. When they're in the castle, there's no TVs, there's no phones. There's that's fantasy, right? And then when he goes to London, and then the buses are magical, the houses are magical, he does magic in front of normal people. That's urban fantasy. So I really like the idea of the world being normal as you think, but then there's the magic underneath. So that I really like urban fantasy in that aspect.
Does your character John, does he tell other people he's a vampire, or does he spring it on him at the last minute when he's gonna?
He doesn't
They kind
hide
of
it.
figure it out. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's got vampires' eyes glow violet, or they have like the color of sunset, I call it. So you see their eyes, you're like, huh. But their fangs they control. They're not all the time. So he can pass for a human. It's just he also isn't afraid to tell people he's a vampire because either they don't believe him, or they're their friends, or they're bad guys that already knew, because everyone knows who John is because the word is spreading about the apocalypse and him being at the center of it. So a lot of people are kind of pissed at him.
Yeah, he might have an enemy or two.
I have to say, your name is a perfect author name.
It's my real name too.
Yeah, that's perfect. You were born to be an author.
Exactly.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Well, I keep joking that because romance is such a huge market, like people just eat that up. I keep joking with my wife that I'm going to write under a pen name of Blunter Hayne and just pump out a bunch of romance novels.
That's funny. So I was gonna ask, is that a genre you're gonna want to get interested in later?
I mean, I've thought strongly about it because, man, you want to make some money, write romance.
It's true.
I mean, so for my ads on Facebook, in urban fantasy specifically, if you have a click-through rate of over 6%, you're a rock star. Like you're knocking it out of the park. You're doing amazing. Don't even worry about it. If you're writing romance, if you're not getting 16 to 20% click-through rate, you're doing something wrong. Like you don't have enough flesh on that cover, not enough abs or flowing hair or pecs or whatever. Like you're missing something to get that, 16 to 20% click-through rate. So that's pretty good incentive. Actually, one of my buddies has already written most of a romance novel, but he's a good writer though. It's actually Justin Leslie. He's a good writer, and he can't help but turn it also into a good story. He told me the story from front to back. I was like, I don't know if I'd read it, but if it was a movie, I might watch it. That sounds pretty cool, dude. Like we just can't help it. Like, it's got to be badass. Something's got to be badass in there.
Yeah, I'm not big for spicy romance. I mean, I always say that unless there's a lot of stuff going on and stuff, I mean, if it's a good story, good plot, good characters, I'll just fast forward through those chapters.
Yeah, is your book? What's the spicy level of your books?
Spice level mayonnaise.
Okay,
love it. It's like bell and pepper.
There is like a love interest. Lily is her name, but it's very much behind closed doors, lights off under the sheets. Like I don't describe it a lot. I'd go into it a little bit on one of the later books, but it actually is leading into something that makes more sense. But in general, like that doesn't interest me. The love part does, and sometimes you got to show the physicality between them so the audience feels that that there is that connection. But for the most part, it's spice level mayonnaise.
So do you find that you're writing your story for yourself, or do you find that as time goes on and you build a bigger audience that you're kind of writing for them?
I'll never write for anyone but me. And
Good answer.
I'm going to write what I want, and everyone else is welcome to join along. I'm having fun doing it. It's going to end the way I want it to end. A lot of people are going to be mad, but I think they're mostly going to be mad because I've kind of flaunted it in front of them.
Game of Thrones mad?
No. That was bad because if you want to have a good story, you have to have three things. You have to have the promise, progress, and payoff. So the promise is that Cersei was going to die to Tyrion, right? That was the prophecy. And then progress is they keep mentioning that over and over again. And then the payoff is she just died because rocks fell on her, and we felt betrayed. Jon Snow was supposed to be, the king and blah blah blah. He's a Targaryen, so we have the promise, we have progress of them talking about that, and then his brother, half brother, gets it instead, and they never even brought that up at all. That was never a possibility. They just did it for shock value. That's another payoff that we did not get. So there's and then like the faceless god and stuff with Arya. The reason why everyone hates Game of Thrones is because they promised over and over again. They gave us several progress for everything that they promised, and then the writers just forgot, and then George R.R. Martin obviously didn't catch up, and so they just wrote their own thing, and they literally have said like they forgot some of the plot lines, and then they delivered their own thing, and did not give us a payoff that they promised. Same thing with the new Star Wars movies. J.J. Abrams promised all this stuff, and I thought to myself, this is going to actually be great. They took the hero's journey of the first of A New Hope and tried to make it good. They made her too much of a girl boss immediately, like where she was good at everything immediately, and it didn't make us, the audience, go along with it. We didn't feel her struggle like we did with Luke. She was just good at it. She beat the bad guy in movie 1. You know what I mean? That was boring. Mm-hmm. But everything else, though, like he set up a really good storyline. Then Rian Johnson literally came in and said, nah, we're doing it this way. And he took all the promises, and then like we even had a little bit of progress, and we had zero payoff. And that's why we all hated the new Star Wars movies. So you have to have promise for any of you writers out there. If you want a good story, it's got to be promise, progress, and payoff. Even if the payoff is, hey, I'm going to kill this person. This person's going to die. The person you love, they're going to die. And then you do it, they're going to, they'll be sad, but there's a satisfaction of, closure. The story's complete. I knew what was going to happen. I was anticipating it. I was been waiting for it, the build up, and I finally get it. So as long as you give those things, you're going to have a good story.
Yeah. It's like yeah, absolutely.
A little writing lesson for anyone watching.
No, I'm writing it down. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I never heard that before. I think I like sometimes I was telling somebody, it's like, a person can learn to be a good writer, but it takes some instinct and maybe some intuition to become a storyteller. And I think that people who embrace those things without realizing that they're embracing those things have kind of, they're kind of more on this side. I was going to ask if you've had any side characters that kind of steal the spotlight and you're like, what the heck are you doing? Oh, that's actually pretty good. Let's go with it.
There's one in particular. I don't want to spoil it, even though it started with book 2. But there was one character that I made everyone hate. And then now he's a fan favorite and people talk about him all the time. And I'm like, wow, that was kind of it. So I actually like to talk to the real person, the inspiration for it, and be like, so what do you think about being a fan favorite now, huh? And so that's kind of funny. So yeah, all the side characters are really good. Like I have plans for spinoffs when the series is done. It just depends on who's going to survive. Because that's the other thing too, is there has to be, what Game of Thrones got right is there has to be consequences. If your character makes a mistake, it could cost them their head, like Ned Stark. That was amazing. Or Eddard Stark, I mean. It was Ned short. But that was an amazing thing that blew me away, that I was like, I can't believe they just did that. And though I remembered how that made me feel, and I digested it and dissected it, I was like, that needs to happen. Like in my books, there needs to be real consequences. I want you to be terrified when you turn the page that your favorite character is going to die, because some do, and that's just how life is.
Do you mourn when you have a character that you have to kill off? Because I don't know if you're anything like me. It's like I know they have to die. I have to kill them off. I'm trying, but it just keeps coming back to this.
So I was writing one of my books. So at my nutrition store, I had cameras, and I actually went back and watched myself sitting at a table writing on my laptop because I didn't even plan it, but it had to happen. I later realized, and it actually really set up the whole series. It worked out perfectly, better than I could ever have imagined. But I had to kill someone off, and I was surprised I did it. So when I went back and watched the video, like I'm just sitting there typing, then all of a sudden I lean back and I just do this for like 3 minutes, just going like, what did I do? So for like, seriously, for like 3 minutes, I just sat there. Like people are walking by too, and I'm just like, oh God, what have I done? So that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Watching yourself back. I like that. Yeah. Well,
see, I'd be doing this. I'd be like, that's what I'd be doing. My characters never cooperate.
I'd be jamming my fingers into the computer, the fists.
There goes another keyboard. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Now,
how much? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, how much of John is the real John or fictionalized?
So John is an amalgamation of both of us, but that's not saying much because we really were doppelgangers. We had different aspects of us. Like I used to have a bad anger issue when I was a teenager in early 20s, that kind of thing. Later learned it was my thyroid, and we got that fixed. But and then he had like some depression issues. So there's John, the character, is very much the real John, but it is a lot of me. But that's not saying too much because like if it was a Venn diagram, it would be like this much.
Crossover.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were the same person for all intents and purposes.
You talked about some of your side characters. Do all of them have special powers too?
No, there's one who's just a his name is Doc Jim. He's just a veterinarian, but he's also the doctor for the supernatural community. His clinic's actually called Super Vet, so it's a little underground thing on that. So everyone knows to go to him for supernatural needs, even though he daylights as a just a regular vet. So he's no powers there, but I'd say most of them do in one form or another. So yeah, I have Lily is a mistress of the Fae Court. Then you have Depug the werewolf, Valinta the you find out what he is later, but let's just say bartender. You have Locke the warlock. I even make fun of myself for that one on the naming. I think at one point John says Locke the warlock. Man, that's lazy writing. Something like I break the fourth wall at least once per book, and I also mess with Luke Daniels at least once per book. In the last book, I made him do slam poetry, which was hilarious. But so everyone's got powers. You have Colin, who's the head of the FBPI, but you find out more about him later on. He's got really cool technology, like he can teleport and stuff using his watch. Let's see. There's Daw, his little his 5-inch fairy. That's his helps guide him whenever he's like away from the church and stuff. It's like his roommate, but it also does everything for him. Helps fix his trench coat or his beanie, or does all his accounting to make sure that he's wealthy, even though they live in storage containers under a cemetery, like buried under a cemetery. But yeah. So pretty much everyone's got powers.
Sounds like you've got a lot of like different like supernatural beings in there, and then the vampires fit in there as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you need to write as you were going along like an encyclopedia of like, okay, John can do this character, or did it just all in your head?
It was in my head for a while, but now I have a program called Scrivener, which
I love Scrivener.
Yep. So I have a Scrivener for each of my series, and then I just have I'm looking at it, just scrolling down. I have all these characters. I have all the books separated, and then I have the cork board in each of the books. Like, this is what needs to happen. Don't forget this. Don't forget this is where that particular item is. So yeah, Scrivener helps me keep everything in order. Because I've written over 1 million words at this point, and it's hard to remember, like, oh crap, what color did I say your hair was, or that kind of thing. So I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. I know my series is only 4 books in. I'm working on my 5th, and I find that at this point I can go back and like look through it, like, oh, what was that person's spelling of their name in book 1? But yeah, by the time if I was like you, if I was got like 12, 13 books in, it would be a lot more looking up. So
luckily I remember about the book of any particular detail. Like, did Depweg talk to the Council of Elders? Well, if he did, it would probably be in this book. And then I would open up this book and I would do Control F, and then I would like search keywords that I would probably use. So I'm actually really good at finding where I put stuff, which is very helpful.
Yes. Yeah, I think that a spreadsheet would be, by that time, unless you're making it all the way along, it's going to be a tremendous effort. But every book has its own feeling too, right?
Oh yeah. It still is an overarching story, and a lot of the stories, the books, the whole series blends together, that's for sure. But I also have cutoffs. The little stories in between are satiated for the reader. So the goal for that book is achieved usually by the end, one way or the other. So you still you get the the payoff, as we were talking about, for the reader to feel like, okay, well, they did the thing that they set off to do. It feels good, even though the series isn't done, and they're still doing that overall arc as well. But yeah, each book has its own ending, while still being a part of the big series. But yeah, there's like book 8, for example, deals with time. That's a whole lot of fun. I came up with a different method of time travel on that. And then it's alternate realities, and it gets deeper later on, that's for sure. I think at one point John says, like, I thought this was urban fantasy, not like sci-fi fantasy. So
breaking the fourth wall there.
Yeah. And then the other characters don't. So whenever he says something like that, like I'll say, like, and then I turned and winked at the camera, and then one of his friends would be like, why the hell did you just do that? Like, what are you doing? You just winked at nothing, dude. And John's like, oh, don't worry about it. Anyway, where were we?
It really does sound like Deadpool, doesn't it?
I like it. So what does a day in your world look like? How often do you do you have a mindset to get into this? Or is it just all 100% creative? Go.
Nah, I wish. So my day consists of dealing with Facebook's algorithm, because that thing is it's feast or famine. For every $1 you put in, if you get $2 out, like you're doing really good. And I've had some months where I've made in 1 month like a third of what I used to make at one of my high-end corporate jobs. And that felt really good. And then I've had other times where Facebook messed up something, or they changed something. They changed their algorithm and they don't tell us.
Yep.
Or they get rid of keywords and they don't tell you either, but they're like, we'll still take your money. And then, I'll spend 15,000 in ads, and I'll only make like 20,000 that month, which is only $1.50. And you break that down, it's only making like 5,000 a month. And that's really good for an author, but it shouldn't be a question of how much am I going to make this month, like, because Facebook changed something and didn't tell us. So the most recent one is I'm sure maybe you've heard about this if you haven't, but Facebook's new AI, Andromeda, whenever you do your ad, it doesn't matter who you target. It used to be able, like a handful of years ago, I could only show my ads to people who like Jim Butcher, because to me, he's the king of urban fantasy, or Ileana Andrews, or, one of those really big ones that just dominate the market because they're so good. They have such a big following. And of course, your ads will kill because, hey, Dresden Files, that's urban fantasy. Preternatural Chronicles, that's urban fantasy. I like these things. Yeah. And then you would make a lot of money. But now it doesn't matter what you say. You can tell it to only show it to people like I'm running Audible ads because there's my omnibus books 0.5, 1, 2, 3, and 3.5. All those are in one book, the omnibus, 40 hours, and it's on sale for $6 in the United States for the month of April. So I try and tell Facebook, please, please, please only show this ad to people who like Audible, please. And it's like, how about we're going to look at your ad creative and we're going to show the ad to who we think will click it. You're like, I don't care if they're going to click it. I want people who are going to buy it. So it's just a constant struggle with Facebook, dude. It's my biggest headache by far. I've tried hiring people to take care of it for me, like 3 or 4 different people. One did pretty good. The other ones failed miserably. They just took my money. And, if they have too many clients, they just don't care like I care. I break it down. I try and figure out what's going on, what's not going right. Let's change this up. So I spend a lot of time on Facebook ads. And so after I do all that crap and I go through all the analytics, all the data, then hopefully I pray that I have creative juices left to write. And then I try to get 3,000 words done at a time if I'm writing that day. And because that's a good amount. The most I've ever written in a single day was 15,000, and that was at the end of book 7. I was just on a roll. I was like, this is I'm having so much fun. I didn't go to bed till like 5 a.m. that night, but I wrote 15,000 words. But if I can get 3,000 words done in a day, that's a successful day. And then if I don't feel it, I don't even bother. Like, I'm not gonna force it, because all that does 100% of the time is just means when I go back to do the second draft, I have to do more work to fix what I got wrong. You know what I mean? Or there wasn't enough emotion. It didn't feel right. It didn't flow right. It makes future me have to do more work. So if I don't feel it, I don't write that day. And unfortunately, every time I deal with Facebook ads, if it's something depressing, I don't feel it that day. But here lately, things have been going good. So I've been, feeling like writing lately.
Unless it's a depressing chapter that you have to write.
I like those. I put on like Interstellar soundtrack or something, orchestral or something like that. And that helps me really pull out the emotion.
I know whenever I'm struggling like with writer's block or an idea, I just can't visualize and stuff. And I'll put my headphones on and I'll play my music and I'll go for a walk and I'll come back 2 hours later, have no idea where I've been, but I've been watching a movie in my head and been playing it out and stuff. And then I've like solved it and I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I need to do because I can see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that. Is our YouTube on, or ours is YouTube. That's our nemesis. And it's just, some days you just wonder, is the juice worth the squeeze? It is so frustrating some days. And I decided recently to ask, since YouTube's owned by Google, and Google has Google Gemini, and you can now use, Notebook LM. You can put in all your shows and it can scan them real quick, and then it can tell you something about your show. Yeah, I did not like what it told me. I was like, damn, that's on 2 points. So basically it said, you've got a good show, good following, but your show's a train wreck. And I'm like, oh.
Thanks. Isn't that what people want?
It just made me feel really horrible. I'm like, what the hell? He said, that's right. But your show, it literally said it's like watching a train wreck. So I was like, okay.
I don't get that impression. I think this is fine.
Well, I wanted something because here lately I've been feeling like some days I'm just talking to myself, and I wanted some kind of feedback. And so I thought, well, I'll ask AI, and then I don't know if it was too honest or if it's full of shit, but I got input.
Well, that is the thing with AI, because I'll use ChatGPT to bounce ideas and stuff. It never have it do any of my writing. That's very important at all. But I'll ask it about like the time travel thing. Like I found out, or at least it confirmed, that no one had come up with the idea of method for time travel in both my series. I actually came up with 2 different ones, which is super nerdy of me, but I love it. But sometimes ChatGPT or AI in general is wrong, and so wrong, and it's so confident that you're like, wait a sec, what? Are you sure? And then it's like, oh, that's a good catch. Yeah, that was on me. Good catch there. No, this is what I meant. What, dude?
It's like, are you? It's like this close to just gaslighting you. It's like I had this idea, and I asked. Oh.
It was called psychosis, AI psychosis. Isn't that what they say it is?
Oh yeah, I heard something about that.
Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I had this idea for a novel like that I was thinking of, and I presented it just to kind of bounce idea. Like, is there any other books that are done like this? And it said, no, this is an original idea. So then I'm like talked to my mom, and my mom's like, oh, it sounds just like Meet Joe Black, and I'm like, ah, crap.
I mean, that's a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Give a different take. Yeah. It's sometimes it was brutal. So as a paramedic, do not ask it any medical advice because you're going to have cancer or you're going to die. One or the other.
Apparently it can't math either. So
I can't math either. So I can't fault it. Well,
so we have cell phones with calculators.
Yeah, stop. You've heard the story. Hunter, one of the questions we always ask is, have you ever had any type of paranormal experience, met a Bigfoot or Dracula or seen ghosts or anything?
So I guess I have an interesting perspective on that one. I've never had anything like that happen, and the reason why is it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't believe in it, and because I don't believe in it, I don't think if it does exist, I think maybe I push it away. So there could be something like trying to reach out, but I'm not open or receptive to it. I'm very just logical and in that regards. So there's been a few things like religious things or whatever where you're like, whoa, that's too weird. That there's no way that has to be something, you know what I mean? Like I could have died if I made a wrong choice, but I felt like I needed to do it this way. So I've had things like that. Not really, I guess, religious, but some kind of spiritual, if you will. But in terms of like ghosts and goblins and stuff, now I'll sleep at a haunted hotel. Like it won't bother me. I'm not afraid to walk down the alley in the darkness, and even if there's the chupacabra or something. So it's kind of there's always the back of my mind where, if there is, I can't help but wonder if I don't see them because I'm not open to it. So I actually thought about that answer because you sent me that question beforehand. You're like, this is the only question that I'm guaranteed going to ask you. So I was like thinking about it. I was like, nah, I think I push things away in that aspect, which is kind of like a protective thing. I'm not haunted by anything. You know what I mean? I don't have a demon following me or whatever. But yeah, it would be interesting if something like that did happen though, because there's confirmation of afterlife, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But to answer, no, nothing quite like ghosts and goblins, but spiritual, yeah. Not even like with just the big capital G guy by himself, but just like some kind of spiritual entity guiding me every now and then. Like I'm like, that's really weird. Like, for example, every bad thing that's ever happened to me, like getting fired from a job or something, is 100% has always led to something better. So, the last job I lost I was a manager at Lowe's, and I made a joke to one of the other ASMs who then, I guess someone heard or something. And then when my manager and HR heard about it, they thought it was so funny that they wanted to hear it in person. And so they were asking me, like, did you say that? I'm like, in my mind, I was like, just lie. Because they can't prove it. It was an anonymous report, but I was like, but I hated that job. I hated Lowe's. That's a terrible place to work. Terrible place to work. Like 11-hour days as an ASM, and just not appreciated. But I was number one though. Number one, even in the district and the division. So I was pretty happy about that. But I remember saying to myself, like, just lie. They can't prove it. And I just looked at my manager and went, yeah, I did. And just smiled at her. I was like, yeah, I did. I don't care. Fuck it. Oh, sorry if I can't say that. Screw it.
There's a beep button on radio. Yeah. That's a very good point.
Went a whole hour, dang it.
One of my chiefs told me, he said, if it feels good to say it, don't say it.
Say it.
We're in a meeting and I did something. He just got up, walked out, and I was like, I guess this is one of those times, huh, Chief? When we had a bigger chief.
See that that sounds a lot better than what I heard growing up. It's like it's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. That's my grandpa used to say to me. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's not very nice. But I like yours better.
Oh yeah, but so when I lost my job at Lowe's, I refocused on my books and like the ads, and I was looking at all these YouTube videos of like the 20 books to 50K people, and like learned a lot from like Steve Higgs and all these awesome authors. And then I used that inspiration, that determination, and then my ads, started blowing up. And like I said, I made in 1 month what I used to make in a third of what I used to make in a year as a manager of one of the busiest Lowe's in the entire company, like a flagship store too. Like they paid okay, they paid pretty good, but to make a third of that in 1 month and to work for myself and not have to deal with all that BS. So anything that bad has ever happened, like I said, has always led to something better. So there's that aspect. So so I guess to your answer, there's a little bit, yes, like there's an aspect of it. It's in the same ballpark. I think there's some kind of force guiding. I don't know if it's karma because I try and be a good person, that kind of thing. You get whatever you put in the universe, I think you get back. So so I'd say, yeah, I'd say yes. There has been things.
Well, one of my friends works for a 3-letter agency, and during the training portion of the agency, they tell them to have a mantra. Say something every day like, nothing can harm me unless I allow it to, or come up with some mantra and say it because you're putting it out there. And my friend was like, I believe, he's at the end of his career, he's like, I didn't believe that bullshit until I was in an alley where if this person recognized who I was, I'd be dead. I was like, huh. He goes, walked right by me, looked at me, and I'm going, yep, you don't see me. You don't see me. So
was that his mantra?
Well, projection.
I don't know what it was, but and he said that the academy or whatever they call it, that's what they teach them. Have a saying or something you do every day. And that
mine is it would be too easy otherwise.
Oh, yeah, I like to say it to my wife whenever something wrong happens or something frustrating. I always say, well, if life were perfect, it'd be boring.
Very true. Very true. I like that too. Hunter, we have a huge audience in Australia. So I want you to tell everybody how to get your stuff. And of course, it will be in the show notes, probably tomorrow. It's a little late tonight, but definitely by the weekend. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you if they want to, and if they want to get your stuff.
Yeah, so hunterblaine.com is the main one, and it's BLAIN. Like I said, you could download book 0.5 for free, see if you like it. And then I have all my books are on Audible and Amazon. And for Audible, the books 0.5, 1, 2, and 3, and 3.5 are actually on the all-you-can-listen program. So I don't know if they've extended that out to the Australian market yet, but I would imagine that as a corporation, they've done it worldwide. But it basically, if you have an Audible membership, you can listen to it for free without having to spend a credit. Or you can buy the Omnibus, which is, all those 5 books over 40 hours for one solid credit, and just have 5 books for a credit. That's a pretty good one. But I am in the Australian Amazon. I've seen it. I actually have fans out there already. Like I see the Amazon will tell you like, hey, this country, you had, I don't know, 1,000 pages read or something. And it's always fun whenever I see like, Bangladesh or the Philippines or Australia or Switzerland, Denmark. I'm always like, oh man, it's so cool that people around the world are learning who John Cook is, you know what I mean? And keeping him alive. And I'd also like to thank Australia for bringing us the wonderful show that is Mr. Nobody. I binged the hell out of that, and it was one of my favorite TV shows of all time. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It is so good. Yeah, he's an anti-hero in his own right. I love that show. And then I also hope to go down and visit Australia at some point. But you can also reach out, Facebook, Instagram, the TikToks I'm trying to get more heavily into. I have a YouTube page, which I'm trying to get more like shorts and stuff put up. But really, Facebook is how most people message me. So Hunter Blaine author. It's some combination of Hunter Blaine author on all those platforms, and you can find me, reach out, and just let me know that you're keeping John alive, because I do appreciate getting those messages. Especially, I notice a lot of people who have lost someone, they feel that, because I put it at the beginning of the book, this is what the book is about, this is why I wrote it, and a lot of people who have lost someone can connect with that and get their own sort of catharsis at the same time, which, steal it. I want you to take my catharsis all day. If it's going to help you out too, please, because losing someone sucks.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. That helps. If you help one person, it's all worth it. So.
Yeah.
Well,
plus,
Hunter,
if it's a good story, then it entertains.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, will you join us again when you get another book down the road, or just
of course.
Yes.
Yeah, this was fun.
Okay. Well, we try not to be too boring. So my dog is driving me crazy tonight for some reason. The life of a rocket machine. Hunter, have a great night. I will put everything, in case they missed that, in the show notes. And like I said, probably not tonight, but definitely by the weekend. And we'll be overnight in WZQR on Friday night and WRFN in Nashville on Saturday night. So this will be replayed there. So hopefully,
cool.
let me know if you get any perks out of it. We'd love to hear it. I love feedback. So.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. And thanks everyone for listening.
All right, Hunter. Have a great evening.
You as well, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. That was so cool.
Yes.
As he was talking about the Facebook algorithm, I'm sitting here thinking about what I fight through. I'm like,
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, he's doing a whole lot more research than I am.
But I was like, that's exactly, and it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And that's what I keep saying to myself. So, Chris says,
like
Glenn's friend is John Cena. So,
I didn't know you knew John Cena.
Yeah, we go way back. So I don't like the brand. So, tell everybody while we're still online in the radio, where they can find your stuff, and if they need to get in touch. Well, not need to, want to get in touch with you.
Yeah. Check out my website, jmshawauthor.com. I've got links to my books, descriptions. My first book was just relaunched. It's got a fancy new cover. My second one will be getting a new cover here soon. And on the bottom of my website, I have links to my Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And that too will be in the show notes in case you were driving or had a pen, didn't have a pen or whatever. It'll be in the show notes. Next week, we will have 2 more authors. So we will have a good book review for you then too. I'm trying to remember what books it was, but I'm drawing a total blank. It's too late.
I was going to say, mathing is hard. Thinking is harder.
Yeah, there is that. I will be live tomorrow. Well, not live, but I will be back on the Thin Line Rock Station, www.thethinlinerockstation.com, noon until 2. And of course, at 2 o'clock, Brenda and I will be spreading lies, telling tales, doing Sportcat's Daily Gazette, and hearing me bitch about things. So that's what Brenda says I do. Maybe I'm a train wreck. I don't know. So come join us then. And if you feel like it, drop us a note. Let us know you're listening. Please, on your way out the door before you leave, hit the thumbs up button. Tell a friend, tell a phone, tell a fireman. Just do something. Let us know you're there. We do enjoy the feedback. So everybody have a great night. Jen and I, we're going to get out of here because we're already running over time in Australia. They're not yelling though, so thankfully.
No, sorry. Must be enjoying it.
No, they actually they told me one day. They said we give you like an extra 20 minutes.
They know you.
Exactly. They're like, you're gonna be late and you're not gonna be on time. So, yeah, good.
So it's the same amount of time, just shift it over.
Time smear.
Yes, time smear.